Hi everybody, Larry Graves here. I remember the 80s just like it was yesterday. Mainly because I'm so old, I think the 80s were yesterday. A little humor, okay? I would love your thoughts, if you were born, if you were around in the 80s, what some of your favorite artists were in the 80s, or some artists that you hated or disliked. I have listed a whole pile of artists, and I thank everybody on Facebook that helped me out with this because I had forgotten some of them. And of course, there's some that aren't listed here that I can't list every 80s artist. But I wanted to just quickly talk about each band or each artist. And that doesn't mean that the band or the artist started in the 80s. I'm just saying they had some kind of impact in the 80s. So here we go. The Cure. I loved The Cure. Not every song by The Cure, but a good 60% of their music I loved. And the other 40% kind of bored me. The Smiths. Same thing. Oingo Boingo. I never got into them. I guess I forget his name, but he's doing really well with movies now. He's, has quite a great career, but I never got into them. Even though I guess they were pretty humorous. Foreigner, one of those bands that I actually bought their very first album when it came out, and I kind of liked it, but after that, I did like some of their hit songs and all that, but I never bought any of their albums. Men Without Hats, a Canadian band from Montreal. And what really annoyed me was the song, The Safety Dance, especially the video and the line, everybody look at your hands. It was just, what the hell's that all about? Berlin I never got into, although the drummer is an amazing drummer. I forget his name at the moment, and he played with Frank Zappa later on. Dire Straits, great band, although the only album of theirs I ever bought was Brothers in Arms, and I really enjoyed that album. I got sick of Walk of Life pretty quickly, but still one of my all-time favorite songs is the song Brothers in Arms. Sparks. One of the bands that started in the 70s and they're still going strong today. In fact, I'm seeing Sparks in the new group with, I always have trouble pronouncing it, with, that's right, with, I can't even say it right now, with Franz Ferdinand, I don't know. I've had some wine. But anyway, they're in a new band called FFS. With Franz Ferdinand and Sparks. I just care about Sparks. No, the other band is great though. Together they are amazing, FFS. So I'm seeing them in Toronto September 30th at the Sound Academy. So be there and you can meet me, and you can also go to a concert. The Cult. The one song I remember by them is Love Removal Machine, which I kind of liked, but then I lost interest in them pretty quickly. I never bought their albums. Chilliwack, another Canadian band that started in the 70s, and their big song in the 80s was Gone, 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 Been Gone So Long, Been Gone, Gone, Gone So Long, which was very damn catchy. Peter Gabriel, I loved his first solo album. Of course, I loved him in Genesis. I never bought any more of his albums. I bought his first two. No, actually, I'm wrong. I bought his first one, his second one, and the one with Games Without Frontiers, his fourth one, which I loved. And his album So I never bought, but I love some of the songs on that. Sledgehammer, I thought it was a bit too commercial for my liking, but, but Don't Give Up with Kate Bush, I still love. Phil Collins had a great solo career in the 80s, but besides in the Air Tonight, I never really... He's damn talented, though, I must admit. Culture Club. Do you really want to hurt me? War is stupid and people are stupid. Yeah. They're okay. I never bought any of their albums, though, or people would look at me very strangely. More strangely than normal. David Bowie, I always respected his talent, but just a couple of songs from the 80s I did like, but other than that, not a big fan of his music. Ozzy Osbourne, I never bought any of his solo stuff, just not interesting to me. I just love him in Black Sabbath. OMD, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, don't know much about them, but somebody had mentioned them on Facebook. The Cars, I bought the first Cars album, which I sort of liked, but I enjoyed some of their hit songs. They were huge in the 80s. Cyndi Lauper, I actually bought the first Cyndi Lauper, I actually bought the first two, possibly the first three Cyndi Lauper albums, and I still enjoy some of her early music. Time After Time is a classic. I love that song. Billy Idol. I loved Rebel. I loved White Wedding and Rebel Yell. The album, the whole album. Eyes Without a Face, Rebel Yell, of course. The whole album. It's a classic. And then his following album was a disappointment, and then, yeah, lost interest in them. Elvis Costello, I was a huge fan of Elvis Costello from his debut album until about Mighty Like a Rose. It's the last album of his I bought, I think. But all those albums in between I love. The Pretenders, I loved their debut album. In fact, I got their newly remastered double of it. And then once again, their second album was a disappointment, and I lost interest in them. Although I love a couple of the Back on the Chain Gang is a great track, and I'll Stand By You. I had a wine fart for a second. I think one of the best bands from the 80s was XTC. Making Plans for Nigel. I loved mainly their earlier albums up to English Settlement. Black Sea is probably my favorite. An English Settlement. Then I slowly lost interest in them. Talking Heads. They started in the late 70s. I love everything up to, well, I don't know. Most of the music I love, but Fear of Music is my favorite. Devo. Once again, they started, I believe, in, I think, 78. And I love the late 70s, early 80s of Devo. Their first few albums. Now, this is one artist I thought would actually be a huge star for a long time, and I was wrong. And I bought his first album. Don't laugh. Terence Trent D'Arby. Who? Prince. I was a Prince fan. I mean, I still think he's an amazing talent, an amazing guitarist. And when he was huge in the 80s with Purple Rain and all that, I bought that. I bought 1999. And then I bought, I think, 3 or 4 albums after Purple Rain, and I really enjoyed them. And then I just kind of lost interest in him around the time he changed his name to a symbol. The Go-Go's, I bought their first album. I really enjoyed them. The Tubes, not so much in the 80s because I think they went a bit too commercial, but I loved their debut album, The Tubes, and their second album, Young and Rich, and their third album, Now, which I believe was released in 1980. Michael Jackson, I was a pretty big Michael Jackson fan for a few years in the 80s. Thriller, Bad, Dangerous, and then, like a lot of people, I lost interest in him. But I love a lot of his songs in that period. Joanne Jett I never really got into, although I Love Rock and Roll, of course, is a classic, but I'm sick of it. U2, I became a huge fan of U2 when The Unforgettable Fire came out. And then I went back and listened to their earlier albums, and I've been a fan ever since. XTC, not so much, although The Boys Are Back in Town is a great song. I'm just like a third of my way through this. I hope there's somebody watching. I'll try and go faster. Queen, love them. Fleetwood Mac, I love it with Stevie Nicks, Lindsey Buckingham. My favorite is Tusk. Cheap Trick. I think I started to lose interest in them in the 80s, but their first few albums are classics. Madonna, I was a fan of Madonna for a little bit. I bought her albums in the 80s, but not Like a Virgin. I didn't buy that one. But the one, Like a Prayer, I bought that one. ABBA, never, their songs I know are classics and all that, and they definitely had talent, but I never bought their albums. Yellow, I never listened to their music because it kind of bugged me because their presentation, they looked like Ron and Russell Mael of Sparks, and I thought, no, stop copying them. But I don't think they were. It's just how I felt. Genesis, of course, they were with Phil Collins then, and I bought the first few albums. I loved, I actually just bought again Abacab. I really like that one, and the song Keep It Dark. But they got more commercial, and then I lost interest in them when they did that. Electric Light Orchestra. Yep, I've got all of their CDs, so Jeff Lynne is I would say he's a genius, or close to it. Journey I never got into. Although I bought, I believe, their first or second album. I think it was called Next, so I think it was their second album, but that was before Steve Perry joined the band. Pink Floyd, as I've mentioned before, I lost interest in them after The Wall. Yes, I wasn't crazy about in the 80s. Metallica, I bought the Black album when it came out and I enjoyed that, and then lost interest in them. Ah, boy. Tom Petty, never bought any of his albums, but his hit singles, I love a lot of them. They are classics. Bruce Springsteen, I wouldn't say I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan, but I was, I guess, for a few years with Born to Run, Nebraska, Born in the USA, and my favorite would be, what's that one called? It's Tunnel of Love. And he's one of the greatest for being a live performer. Here's another one I thought was going to be around for years and years, and we're going to be one of the biggest bands in the world, and boy was I wrong. Adam Ant. I bought their first album. Tears for Fears, I liked them for like a year. The B-52s, I just, Rock Lobster mainly. I need a drink. I'm not going to edit this video. You can watch all of my mistakes, and when I don't say anything for a few minutes, you can just watch me. Remember to leave a comment. Oh boy, The Police. Forget the name of their last album, but it's the one with Every Breath You Take. Excuse me. And that was the only album of theirs I bought, which I enjoyed, and I like Message in a Bottle. I love that song. So they were pretty damn good. Paul McCartney in the 80s, after Tug of War, I lost interest in him for a few years. He just got a bit too sugary sweet with a lot of his songs, but he came back big in the last 15 years or so. Elton John, once again, yeah, some of his songs I liked, but I like earlier Elton John from the 70s. Asia I never got into. Robert Plant I totally respect, but the only album of his I ever bought was Now and Zen, which I enjoyed. Def Leppard I never... Oh, I did. I did buy the huge album with Pour Some Sugar on Me, and that took a while to grow on me, but I really did enjoy that at the time. But other than that, you know, I respect them, and good band. Depeche Mode I never got into. I bought one of their albums, Violator, which I sort of liked. But sorry, Paul. Paul's my nephew. New Order I never got into. Pet Shop Boys, I liked a couple of their songs, never got into them. Rush, I bought. They're definitely one of the best bands of all time, but there's only certain albums of theirs that I bought, and yeah, never really bought their albums too much. The Bangles, Paul Simon, Graceland. I didn't buy all of his albums, but amazing artist. A Flock of Seagulls. Iran. Iran is a classic song. That was a good song. Simple Minds. They were like a poor man's U2. And they were, I don't know, just the lead singer, a little bit phony with the stage presence and all that. REM I liked. I bought a couple of their albums. And my favorite is, you know, that album cover with, it says REM on it, and To the Rivers on it, and that other song. Men at Work, boy, talk about two-hit wonders, or one-hit wonders. Kate Bush, superb talent, but I just never bought any of her albums. I love this band, Technotronic. Remember Pump Up the Jam? And there was one other one that I loved even more. I used to be a disc jockey in the 70s and 80s, and I used to enjoy playing those tracks. Kraftwerk, about the only thing I like by them is their stuff from the 70s, Autobahn and Radioactivity, which I have. The Pixies I never got into, although their one album, what's it called? I forget. But I love that one. Jay Giles Band, I love their 70s stuff. I'm so sick of hearing Centerfold. Maybe it's a great song, but... ZZ Top. Yeah, early 80s ZZ Top was pretty good. Although after Eliminator, they started to copy the sound from Eliminator, and it got kind of tiring. Bananarama, oh my god, those girls were sexy. Who cares about the music? From Canada, Glass Tiger. Yeah. Aha! Aha! What's that song called? Take on me, I'll be... You know that song. I actually bought the album. Or tape. Cassette. Take on Me, I think it was called. Bon Jovi, I always disliked. Ugh. Heart. They just got way too... I think the last album of theirs I really enjoyed was Dog and Butterfly, and then they started to really get commercial. I'm getting tired. I need a drink. I hope you guys are going to comment below. Motley Crue. The only song by Motley Crue I absolutely love is Dr. Feelgood. I love that song. Other than that, no interest in them. Frank Zappa, huge fan. And I'm also a huge fan of Frank Zappa, even in the 80s, although I think I slowly lost interest in him the last few albums. Lou Reed. Big fan of Lou Reed in the 70s and I think all of the 80s. John Mellencamp. He's one of my favorite 80s artists. I had and have, maybe not now on CD, not as much, but the vinyl albums, I had quite a few of his albums. I really respect him as an artist. Yeah, AC/DC. In the 80s were pretty good. Of course, the early 80s especially. Duran Duran, the only song of theirs I like is, or I love, is Hungry Like a Wolf. Love that song. Guns N' Roses, next. Here's another artist that's still going strong today, and I just recently saw a video of him in concert. And he still sounds damn good. And I think maybe I bought one of his albums or two of his albums in the 80s. I've never been a fan, but I respect him. I mean, he does basically commercial music, but I mean, he has talent, and it's Bryan Adams, Canada's very own Bryan Adams. And did you know his song Summer of '69 wasn't about the summer of 1969. It's about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get into it right now. Yeah. Van Halen, yeah. With David Lee Roth, just the first album, and then after that I just... Hall & Oates, I liked Man-Eater the most, and they were pretty big in the 80s. Never bought any of their albums, but I enjoyed some of their songs. Another band, I bought 2 or 3 of their albums, and I thought they were damn good, was INXS. Yeah. Aerosmith. Yeah, the early 80s were pretty good, and then they just got more commercial, and I lost interest in them. The Clash. Yep, Sandinista. Their last album with Joe Strummer, with Rock the Casbah and all that was... But early Clash I love. Janet Jackson, I enjoyed some of her songs, but I never bought any of her albums. I actually did. Damn it. Rhythm Nation. I bought Rhythm Nation. Another talented band, but I never bought any of their albums. Crowded House. Huey Lewis and the News. I bought their huge album Sports when it came out, but I was never a huge fan. Stevie Nicks. I bought her debut album, and I enjoyed it. Edge of 17, that's the song. That's my favorite of hers. The Rolling Stones in the early 80s, I was buying their albums, but... yeah. Belinda Carlisle, she was sexy, yeah. And I enjoyed 2 or 3 of her hit singles, but never bought any of her albums. Don Henley, I have to admit, that guy's got talent. Great songwriter. I don't really care for him and what he's done, you know, personality-wise, I guess. But a definite talent. And I think I bought one of his solo albums or 2. Roxette, I bought their huge album there with Joyride. Billy Joel, I used to be a fan of Billy Joel. I used to buy his albums in the 80s. In the 80s. Loverboy, another Canadian band. A couple of good songs. Styx. Yeah, I bought 2 or 3 of their albums. Then I lost interest in them. Tina Turner. Great talent, amazing singer, great performer. Although the song, What's Love Got to Do with It? Oh my God, I got so sick of that song. And Split Enz is the last one. They're an Australian band, and their big hit was I Got You, and I bought 1 or 2 of their albums, and I really enjoyed them. That's it. that's all of the artists from the 80s I could think of. I would love your thoughts on some of your favorite and least favorite artists from the 80s. Thanks for watching and putting up with me. Goodbye. This was like a movie.